Hey guys, I hope y'all are having a great day today. So I'm going to be showing y'all how I did my makeup for today using all of my current favorite products. So I did a video like this a few months ago, and because I'm always trying out new things, a lot of my favorites have changed since then, and I just bought a bunch of stuff in the Sephora holiday sale, so I'm going to be getting even more makeup to try out. So some of my favorites will probably change like in the next couple of months or so. So before that happens, I just wanted to show y'all like all of my current favorites like all in one video. So I'm just going to show y'all what those products are and how I use them to do my makeup for today. So before we get into the video, if you're here for the first time, thank you so much for stopping by and welcome to the channel. My name is SonyaNicole and I do makeup videos here catering to the 40 and over crowd, but of course everyone is welcome here. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you join the channel and I would really appreciate your support. All right, y'all, let's get started. Okay, so as you know, I've been doing my eyes first lately and I have really been liking that method, so we're going to stick with that. So I'm jumping right into my eye primer. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I'm just patting that on the lid, making sure it's nice and flat. And I like to concentrate most of this like right up in here because I feel like that's where I have the most darkness, but I am spreading it all over my lids. I forgot to mention, but I'm sure you can tell that my brows are already done. I usually do those off camera. And I can't remember the last time I used this, but I think that y'all probably already know that this is my favorite palette right now. But this is the Colourpop Stone Cold Fox palette. And for anyone out there who likes cool tones like me, it's a really nice everyday like cool tone palette. So I'm going to be sticking with this row here, the blacks and the silvers. So I'm starting off with that gray matte shade, and that's going to be the lid, or the color that's going to be primarily on my lid. First, I'm going to take a little bit of this Kosas setting powder, and I'm just going to tap just a tiny amount of that on top of this concealer. This concealer, the NARS Radiant Concealer, it is like a soft matte finish, but I still want to go ahead and just lightly set it since the color that I'm going to be putting on my lid is a matte shade. So now I'm going to pick up a good amount of that gray matte shade, and I'm just going to start patting it on the lid. I'm starting kind of like right in the middle of the lid and kind of like fanning it out as I go. But I'm putting this on in a patting motion just so that it stays pigmented throughout, like wherever I end up applying it. And I'm also dragging it all the way in to the center part of the lid, and then just making sure that you can still see it like when I'm looking straight ahead because of my folded lids. And now I'm going in with this matte black shade. I'm going to put that on the very outer part of the lid. I'm just turning the brush over to the other side. I'm just trying to like draw a little marker so that I don't want to go like over this area, so that's why I drew that line right there. I might end up going over it a little bit, but it's kind of like just a guideline. I'm picking up some more of the black shadow and putting it right on the outer part of the lower lash line. I'm just using my color switcher to get rid of that black, and then still sticking with that same brush, I'm going back into the gray matte shade, and then that is going to go on the rest of the lower lash line. And then right where the gray and the black meet each other, I'm just going to let the gray overlap just a little bit just to kind of blend those two colors into one another. So before I actually blend the colors on the lid, I'm going to put another shade around it to kind of like buff everything out, and then I'll go back and blend everything together. So now I'm actually going in with this shade over here because I wanted just a little bit of like a muted pink shade in here. So I'm going in with this shade here, and I'm going to use that to kind of like blend around the black and the gray shade. And because I want to make sure that this color will be actually seen, I don't want it to be like overpowered by the gray and the black, I'm gonna initially just blend like right on top of those shades, but I'm trying not to pick up any of the gray and the black shadow. And I know I do my eyeshadow like backwards, like a lot of people would do this part first and then work their way in. For some reason I just feel more comfortable going out, but if I were to apply this shade first and then work my way in, there is less of a chance that I would pick up the black and the gray and kind of like overlap it with this pink shade. All right, I might have to go like back and forth a little bit, but now I'm taking another small blending brush. This one is just a little bit more dense than the one that I was just using. And now I'm gonna take this brush and I'm gonna blend right where the gray and the pink meet each other. And then same thing over here, right where the black and the pink meet each other. I just wanted to switch brushes because again, I just wanna make sure that I don't accidentally blend too much of these darker colors on top of that pink shade. So I'm gonna go back into my flat brush, picking up a little bit more of the matte gray, and I'm just gonna build it up again. The same thing happened on my other eye where after I added the pink and then I started like blending in, I felt like I blended too much of the gray away. So I'm just adding a little bit more of that back in. So that's why I said I probably would have to go kind of like back and forth, because I just want to make sure that you can like really see the gray since that is the main lid color. So going back into the brush that's just a little more dense, and I'm just kind of like blending around that black just to soften it just a little bit, but I don't want to lose too much of it. So I'm just very lightly, you know, blending around the black. So I think on this eye, the black is just a little bit deeper than it is over here. So sticking with that same brush, I'm now picking up some of the gray shade, and then I'm just gonna slightly go over the black a little bit. I just want to lighten it up like just a little bit. I think that looks a little bit better. They're still not totally even, but I feel like that black was just like a little too overpowering over here. And then I'm gonna go back into this brush and pick up a little bit more of that matte pink shade, and then once again go around everything. This pink shade is supposed to be muted, but I do want it to be visible on the eye. And then I feel like one more blend over this black shade here. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but y'all know that I feel like I'm a novice when it comes to eyeshadow, but I quite often have to go like back and forth when I'm applying my colors. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop right there for now. And now I'm gonna go on with my eyeliner and mascara, and then we'll finish up the eyes a little bit later on with a little sparkle in the inner corner. So I'm going to be using the Hank & Henry eyeliner. This is my favorite for right now. And I've had this for a long time, but I still have some product left. And my favorite mascara right now is the Colourpop Act Natural Mascara. So I'll do these off camera, then I'll come back and then we'll move on to the face. Okay, so the mascara is on, and I also put some of this Ilia mascara on my lower lash line. This is called the Limitless Lash Mascara, and I feel like it's not all that visible because of the eyeshadow, but I do have some of this on the lower lash line. So now let's move on to the face, and I'm gonna start off with my Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer. This one is in the shade SX13. And I've been using this lately as a kind of like a corrector under my eye. And I feel like it makes a big difference on my under eyes. So I like to take like a pretty fluffy brush for this, and I'm just picking up just a very little bit because a little tiny bit of this goes a very long way. This is like how much product is in here, and it's really going to take you like a lifetime to use this up because this stuff is like really, really pigmented. So I like to just kind of brush this along the under eye area. I'm gonna put just a little bit more. I also try to concentrate it on the sides of my nose because I always have marks right there from my glasses. But I like to use a really loose brush with this because it helps to ensure that I don't put on too much. Because like I said, it is really, it's like really full coverage. So before we finish up with the under eyes, I'm going to do my foundation. I'm using the Pat McGrath foundation in MD 22. So I'm sure y'all already know what setting powder I'm going to be using a little bit later, but I'm going to use this for my foundation because I've noticed lately that I just really can't stop using this. Like, I picked it up for the first time in a while not too long ago, and then since then I just always want to use this foundation. So I'm just concentrating most of the product on the cheek area. This is like a really thin formula that gives a lot of coverage. I think that's one of the reasons I like it so much. Oh, and I just got makeup all over my white shirt. Ugh, I knew this was gonna happen. Y'all can't see it, but I just got makeup all over my shirt. I should have known with this very thin makeup, I should have known that that was gonna happen. Oh well. This is an old shirt. I don't remember when I got it, but I think I got it from Burlington, and I know it was like an inexpensive shirt, so not a big deal, but still. Actually, I think I got this from Amazon, but either way, it wasn't like expensive, but still. Now for the under eye concealer, I'm gonna say that this is my favorite for right now, but it's not like my all-time favorite concealer. But this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Magic Touch Concealer. I'm using the shade 15. And I do think this is a really nice concealer. I just don't think it's as good as like my go-to like staple concealers. But I have been using this like non-stop. So I think I'm going to just keep using it until I run out. But I don't think I'm going to repurchase it because like I said, I don't think it's quite as good as like my two staple concealers. But this one is a really nice one. So I would consider it like my favorite for right now. And the thing about using the Kevyn Aucoin concealer, I don't have to use as much as like whatever concealer I'm putting on top of it. I don't have to use as much because the Kevyn Aucoin one is giving me a good amount of coverage on its own, even though I'm using it as more so as a corrector. But because of that, I'm able to use less of my brightening concealer. I'm going to set the under eyes, and I am going to be using a different powder today. This is the Kosas Pillowy Cloud Set. How do I keep messing that up? It's the Kosas Cloud Set powder, and the shade of it is called Pillowy. So this is the same one that I use to lightly set my eyelid before I use my eyeshadow. So this, I picked this up to do, I want to say it was my last Shop My Stash video, and I've noticed I've been kind of reaching for that since then, and that was like very recent. That might have been like a week or two ago, but since then I have picked this up every time I did my makeup as opposed to my L'Oreal powder. So I'm gonna go in with this one for today. This one is like a really nice powder that I can use on both the under eye and all over the face, but I usually like to use something that's just a little bit lighter on the under eye just to add like a little extra brightness. But this one I think is really nice for the under eye too. So, and then before I set the rest of my face, I'm going to do my blush and bronzer first. So for blush, another like pretty new favorite for me is the blush that's in the Anastasia Beverly Hills Primrose palette. So, oh, this is really dirty. Whew. Well, it's still pretty dirty, but this palette comes with two blushes, and this blush color over here is really, really pretty, especially for this time of year for people who like to use like darker blushes. So I am gonna go in with this one. It is quite messy, but it's a really nice blush color. I haven't even tapped into that lighter blush shade yet because I know I just can't use it as a blush. Like if anything, I could use that as an eyeshadow, or like say if I wanted to keep using this blush when the weather starts to get warmer again, maybe I could mix the two just to lighten this one up a little bit. But I think this is such a really nice like burnt orangey type of blush color. Quite pigmented too, so I do kind of feel like it takes me a little bit longer to kind of like blend it, but it's such a pretty color. So moving on to bronzer, I feel like this is like my favorite bronzer ever. I love this stuff. This is the Saie Beauty Sun Melt Bronzer in the shade Deep Bronze. And I remember when I got this, I wasn't crazy about the color, the shade range, because it only comes in 4 shades. And I got this one because the one before that, I thought that it was going to be too light. And I kept saying, I bet you this one is going to be too deep. But this is a really nice color for me. And I just love the way this one blends. I love the way it looks on my skin. It's definitely not too deep. It blends out really nicely, really easily. And I really love this bronzer. Like, I really think this is like my favorite bronzer out of all the ones that I've ever used. I think this one is my favorite. Let me know what y'all think, but I love this. I really do. Putting just a little bit on my jawline as well. And then just switching over to a smaller brush just so I can also get my nose. And then just taking some residual foundation to soften the nose bronzer right back out. Okay, I'm going back into the Colourpop palette and I'm going to take this really bright silvery shade. That is going to be my inner corner highlight for today. And then I'm just going to go back into, this is the brush that I use to apply like that pinkish shade. I'm just going to use my little color switcher here. And then I'm just going to take this and just kind of blend right where the matte gray and the silver shade meet, just so that it doesn't look like such a harsh stop right there. Okay, so I am going to be skipping setting spray because I usually just don't use setting spray in colder weather. But if you're going to follow this routine and you want to use setting spray and you've already put your mascara on like I did, just make sure you cover your eyes before you spray your face and try not to get too much setting spray on your mascara. But I'm going to skip setting spray, so we're going to finish everything off with our lips. So I'm gonna start with my Lawless Beauty. This is the Forget the Filler Definer Liner in the shade Honey Rose. Looks like this. It's like a almost like a muted, like mauvey, like plummy shade. I need to sharpen it just a little bit. And I'm gonna put on a good amount of this. And then to finish off the lips, I'm using the Fenty Cream Gloss Bomb. What are these called? Gloss Bomb Creams. The Fenty Gloss Bomb Cream in the shade Candy Milk. So I'm not going to say that this is my absolute favorite. It's one of my favorites. Like, I've been using this one a lot, as well as Fenty Glow in the cream. And I also like the Gloss Bomb Heat. This one is called Candy Apple, I think. There's like a bunch of Fenty glosses that I have been using a lot lately. So this is just like one of my favorites because I really just couldn't pick between like all of the ones that I really like. But I feel like this one will tie in really nicely with that muted pink shade that I have on my eyes. One more thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take, this is the brush that I use to put that silvery shade in my inner corner. I'm going to take whatever is left on the brush and then just very lightly get my, the arch of my brow. Just to add a little extra flare up there. And here is my finished look using all of my current favorites. So let me know what y'all think. Let me know if we share any of the current favorites down in the comments, because I really want to know what y'all are really liking right now. So if you enjoyed today's video, please let me know by giving me a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel before you head out, and I'll see y'all back here for my next one. Until then, take care. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.